The NCSoft Q2 earnings are here, and they tell us a lot about how Guild Wars 2 is doing, particularly how Janthir Wilds is doing. And let me spoil you here a little bit. It's not looking good. Guild Wars 2 has made 15 billion Korean won on Q2. Well, that's a big number, right? Well, if we go and check previous years, we can see that Soto on the same quarter did 19 billion for the pre-orders, and Soto on Q2 after the release, just before Janthir Wilds, did 23. A big difference. We haven't seen bad numbers like this since Icebrood Saga, which is not what you want to hear. Now, we have seen things like this before, moments of the game not doing the best monetarily. But what does it mean? Does this mean that Guild Wars 2 is over? The next expansion is going to be a disaster? That you should go to another MMO? No. But there is a lot of conclusions that we can draw from this. So, let's go through them. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Go to my Ko-Fi if you want to support my content. And let's get into it. And yes, I did wear my blazer to look more professional because we're talking about numbers. I'm already in your mind. You have to believe me. So first of all, what is this quarterly earning release? Well, NCSoft, the company that publishes Guild Wars 2, every quarter they say, hey, this is how good the expansion is doing. This is how good our games are doing. And Guild Wars 2 obviously is in here. Now, we don't want to go through all the bad things that NCSoft is going through because they are indeed not having the best time. They ended up actually with a net loss due to incline of related profits / loss driven by a weaker US dollar. But we don't really care that much about NCSoft here. We care about Guild Wars 2. We definitely don't care about their mobile and PC online games like Lineage, Lineage 2, Ion, and Blade and Soul, do we? Or Throne and Liberty for that matter. Guild Wars 2, you can see it here. It says right there, Guild Wars 2 with this little white-ish kind of color, and it's the one right there. On this sheet, that is not mine actually, it's from Delta, not the one from RTPS, the one from Nexus. He has compiled every one of the profits for Guild Wars 2 throughout the years, as you can see here. Last quarter was 19 billion Korean won. And the cool thing is that we can actually compare different parts of different expansions very well, particularly on the new model. 2024, for example, here is Janthir Wilds from Q3, Q4, Q1, and Q2. This one is the new one. It is not updated, but it is indeed 15 billion. And then here we have Soto. It starts here, ends here. So Q1, we can see for Soto, it was 20 billion, almost 21. Janthir Wilds, 19. Already not the strongest comparison. Q2, 23 billion for Soto. Janthir Wilds, 24. All right, a better sale. You could even argue that this Q3 is more of the pre-orders and these are delayed actual sales. This is when things start getting bad though. Soto, Q1, 2024, so the third quarter of Secrets of the Obscure, we got 25 billion. Janthir Wilds, 19 billion. Oof, that is a rough one. Then you have Q4 of Soto, Q2 of 2024, and this 15 billion. The difference is pretty big. Between 23 and 15, 8 billion less. That is gonna hurt. As I said before, this can only be compared to numbers around Icebrood Saga right here and right here. I guess you could argue this is after Champions, so people were a little bit more excited about the game because of the announcement of End of Dragons. Here you can start seeing that as well, and here you can see the start, the pre-order of End of Dragons, and here's the release of End of Dragons, which was very, very successful. Here is the totality of Icebrood Saga being very, very similar to the numbers that we can see here from Janthir Wilds. Now, is Janthir Wilds that bad? No, they did pretty well overall, right? The release was pretty strong, the pre-orders were pretty strong. It's just the quarterly updates that kind of failed. And honestly, how could they have not failed? The latest patches were just not good. Bavanissus was a disappointment, Mistborn Barons was a disappointment, and there was just not that much content in terms of open world, story, or honestly anything. Sure, the quality of life was nice, there were things to do with that. The content itself, Janthir Wilds, the only good thing that he had in terms of content was the raid, sadly. And the problem is that not a lot of people play raids, not only in Guild Wars 2, but in many other games, particularly because they're hard, right? And this raid was hard. It wasn't like, oh, we have an easy mode. Oh, wow, this is going to be so great. Everyone can get in there. not really. The easy mode was the convergence, and the convergence was okay. But let's be real, I don't think a lot of people are very much happy with the way that that worked either. Even Secrets of the Obscure had more content to do than Janthir Wilds. We had the obsidian armor, we had things to do. Sure, we have the legendary spear, but that's about it, and it was not really enough to keep people engaged, especially with the low quality of content we had. I mean, we got a Gorsable again as well. Like, yeah, people were not very inspired on this patch, sadly. So it comes as no surprise that people will disengage. They will not buying the game. They're not returning to the game, buying the expansion in the middle of the actual release of it. They're not buying gems. Even when there are a lot of very cool gems or items, sometimes a little bit too good, especially in terms of, you know, summer-based skins. Yeah, it was obvious that they were not gonna make a lot of money this quarters. And honestly, after 2 expansions of this, people kind of know what the expansions are gonna be like. So if they didn't like Secrets of the Obscure, why would they like Janthir Wilds? And this is a little bit scary because obviously this is the new model we have now. This is Guild Wars 2 in the future. We're not going back to End of Dragons type of expansions. That's just not gonna happen, and they proved that with what they told us about Visions of Eternity. Sure, we're getting elite specs, but the amount of content, the quality of the content is gonna be very, very similar, just a little bit better. And is a little bit better enough to bring these people back? The people that didn't buy Janthir Wilds? The people that didn't come back for Janthir Wilds afterwards? The numbers at the start of Janthir Wilds are not an issue, it's the ones after that they are. For these numbers to go up, a lot has to change. We have a new expansion coming out very soon. And don't get me wrong, the elite specs look great. But guys, the spears were great for Janthir Wilds. The new weapons were pretty cool too for Secrets of the Obscure. These new expansions don't have the issue of the combat being bad. They have the issue of having bad content, having bad story. And yes, they did say that this wouldn't be as much of an issue this time, that they're gonna put more effort into making their story. That's why it's getting delayed. But that's kind of what they said for Janthir Wilds. They delayed a patch. They made changes. They didn't make Inner Neos. Again, they did a smaller map so it would be more significant. And we got the same issue. In some ways, we got even worse of an issue. I have absolutely no doubt that this new expansion will have great sale numbers when it releases. A lot of pre-orders, of course. But are we gonna see returning players? Are we gonna see the numbers fall off instantly on Q2 after the few patches come out? After people realize that, hey, this is like Janthir Wilds, this is like Secret of the Obscure. We're not getting the old type of content that we used to get in HOT, in End of Dragons, in Path of Fire. Well, that's not really an answer I can give to you because I don't know how the expansion is gonna be. We're gonna have to go and see. But I do think it's very important for us to understand that it is a possibility. You can choose to believe them. You can choose that this time is gonna be different. You can choose to believe that, but is it going to be? You have to be ready for both possibilities. Thankfully right now, there are a lot of people playing the game, so it feels like there's a little bit of revitalization towards the game. Everybody's enjoying it, and all the communities around these new streamers and new people trying it out, which is indeed a great thing, and we can, you know, have fun with old content. And in some ways, even if the next expansion doesn't have that much great content, we can still do stuff and have fun with the game. There are other options, but we need to understand that this is a possibility. At the end of the day, the unannounced project is the focus of ArenaNet right now. Whether that is Guild Wars 2.5 or Guild Wars 3, that is the future of Guild Wars. And until that is out, until we know what that is, Guild Wars 2 will in some ways get affected. We won't get as much content as we used to have, and we have to be okay with that. We can still have fun with the game in this matter, it's definitely okay, but it is the reality. And these numbers definitely signal towards that too. It doesn't mean the game is dead, it doesn't mean the game is gonna get less content, it just means that it's gonna be consistently going in the same direction, in the same place that we have right now. At the end of the day, they still need the money to make the unannounced project. And that means that Guild Wars 2 will stay until that is there, at the very least. And most likely even after. So do those numbers impact Guild Wars 2? Of course. but not in a manner that it hasn't affected us before. But what do you think? Do you think this is true? Do you think it's over? The game is done. You have to quit? Or do you think you're okay with these numbers? Even if you're a little bit worried, you're fine. I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below. And you can ask me questions about this, of course, as always. If you have your doubts, on twitch.tv/JanthirWilds, I will be streaming every morning. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Go to my Ko-Fi if you want to support my content. See you guys around. Love you all. Ciao, ciao.